Yeah, g'day. This is the first of two videos covering my survival equipment that I carry when camping. As it's vitally important to keep survival equipment with you at all times in the bush, I separate out my equipment into three distinct groups. The first is my EDC, which is the basic stuff that I carry on my person at all times, whether I'm up in the bush or down in the city, driving the car, it's always with me. That EDC equipment has been covered in a separate video. The second line is the survival equipment itself, which is kept separate from the third line, which is sustainment. The sustainment stuff is in the pack, the survival equipment is carried elsewhere. In this first of the two videos, I'll be discussing my belt order. Although my equipment has changed over the years and undergone numerous revisions as I've found better or more efficient ways of doing things, or something that's lighter or suits my purposes better than the previous one, the one thing that hasn't changed is that on my belt I carry my camping knives, my canteen and some form of survival pouch. That's varied from tiny little pouches with a few basic survival essentials up to this German army surplus pouch here, which would contain basic survival equipment along with a wind cheater, spare warm clothes and first aid kit. My canteen dates back to my earliest days of camping when I was using army surplus equipment, and this is it. It's an army surplus canteen, American Army, 1 quart or close enough to a litre, and it's affixed to the belt using an old army surplus M1956 LCE load carrying equipment pouch made out of canvas. Inside the pouch is the canteen itself, and get it out, a metal Dixie or canteen mug. I use this as my drinking vessel, sometimes eating vessel, cooking vessel. I can put it on the fire, cook up a meal, then I can just eat it straight out of this. Very, very handy. Not too great to drink out of though, because if you've just heated drinks in it, you can burn your lips on it. And I've never wanted to try putting tape around the outside of it, like I suggested. But that's always with me, so if I got lost in the bush, at least I've got something of boiling up the bugs and fern leaves and whatever else that I've foraged to eat. Despite the antiquated canteen and canteen cover, the belt itself is a modern duty belt, nylon, velcro. It's got the velcro loop here and the velcro hooks there. You can see the clips for the old pattern 1956 pattern canteen cover actually fit quite nicely across it. It's very, very snug. They're not going to go anywhere, it's not going to slide around on the belt, but they do at least fit, and once they're on they don't shift around, so that's very, very useful. This belt will also take a more modern style pouch if I want to. It has a velcro hook section here that will hook onto the soft loop section on the back of the belt, and then the other part folds down over it, and then it won't budge from side to side because it's being held in place by its own velcro. It will also fit a modern molly pouch as well. These molly loops big enough to go over the top of the belt. However, it would slide from side to side, so belt keepers would probably be necessary. But if I wanted to add a couple of pouches to it, if I'm carrying extra gear, there's not a problem. I've got all the options under the sun, really. Which brings me to the other side of the belt and the survival pouch, which is an old army surplus magazine case. I took the grenade loops off the sides because I didn't need those, and the magazine case itself is what holds basic survival equipment that I might need under extreme circumstances in the bush. Yeah, I actually bought this quite some time ago. I wrote survival kit on top of it. It's one of my earlier carrying methods. The more military minded people, of course, will recognise it as Alice. Alice? What the fuck is Alice? Well, whatever it is, I've been living with it for more than 24 years. On either side of the survival pouch I have my two sheath knives. I'll get into the detail of why I carried two and what their uses are in a moment, but those two are always there. I've always carried those two in the bush for years. The belt is the right width to accommodate both the Leatherman pouch that I carry my pocket tool in and also the pouch for my Zippo lighter, so they fit onto that belt no problem when I'm in the bush. One thing that's not on the belt at the moment, because I don't actually own one, is a personal locator beacon. I heartily recommend carrying them in the bush at all times, and I normally rent one as required for however long I'm going up camping. And when I do have one, that sits on the belt as well, so that it always remains on my person no matter where I go, because I never go anywhere in the bush away from camp, even to gather firewood, without my belt on. Which brings me to the two knives that I carry on my belt. I apologise for the loud weather sound in the background, by the way. We've got quite a storm going on here, so I'll speak up a bit and carry on. This knife is made in Zollingen in Germany. Very, very high carbon steel, very sharp, holds a very good edge. I use this when I need a decent sized knife that can seriously cut things. Just hopefully not myself. The other knife very, very heavy stainless, well, semi-stainless, so you can actually see traces where it's tarnished and stuff like that. It doesn't hold quite as good an edge as the Zollingen blade. It doesn't rust as fast, but the benefit is it's very heavy. This is what I carry instead of a tomahawk or a machete. If I need to render down a chunk of wood to the point that I can snap it and throw it onto the fire because the branch is a bit too thick, a few good whacks with that will remove enough wood to even a weakling like me can snap the branch afterwards. And I'm going to wrap this particular one up because the time's getting on, and I'll carry on in another video with the contents of the actual survival pouch itself. See you later.